we go. This video is for the 0.1 homework. And then the y's, I've got 2 y's. And that's the extent of exponent rules. Okay? You can break it down and then you just kind of push everything back together that's the same. Okay. Now, here's one that we can't really do that with. Actually, I could. Okay? So, if I square something, pull that door for me, baby. It just means I'm multiplying it by itself. So 4x to the 4th, y squared, and I'm squaring it, so I would just multiply it by itself. And then I have the rest of it, 2x cubed y to the 4th. So it's just understanding what the exponent means. If you're squaring something, you're taking that whole piece that's inside the parentheses and multiplying it by itself. And then I can break it down. So 4x's, and then 2 y's. And then the same thing again, 4, and then times 4x's, and then 2 y's. And then I've got a 2, 3x's, and then I've got 4 y's. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so numbers here, I've got 4 times 4 times 2. So 4 times 4 times 2 is 32. So that's my number. All right, x's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I just write x to the 11th. And then y's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Y to the 8th. That's the answer. Not too awful, right? There are exponent laws where you don't have to write everything out like that. So when I have an exponent to an exponent, I multiply them together. So like 4 squared is 16. And then x to the 4th squared, I do 4 times 2, and that's an 8. And then y squared would just be y squared. And then I've got all of this. And so I would do 16 times 2 is 32. And then I just add. X to the 8th, x to the 3rd. 8 plus 3 is 11. Y to the 2nd, y to the 4th. How did I end up? Ooh, that should have been a 6. I shouldn't have had this y or this y. I miswrote that. I apologize. It should have been a 6. Y to the 6th. So again, use the rules or break everything down into its basic form and just start combining things that are alike. Okay. Next one. All right, division. So I've got 36, and then I'm actually going to split this. I've got x to the 9th, so I'm going to do 9 x's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I've got 4 y's. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to do the bottom part of the fractions. So I'm going to put the 4 down here. I've got 7 x's on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I've got 3 y's. So does everybody see what I'm doing when I'm like pulling those apart? Whatever the exponent says, I just write that letter that many times. For this one, to make it easier to deal with, I split it into sections. So I'm looking at just the numbers, then just the x's, and then just the y's. I can split fractions up like that. We okay? All right, so 36 over 4. Fractions are just division. So, I mean, I could put that in my calculator as 36 over 4 and simplify it, but it's just a division problem, 36 divided by 4. So we know 36 over 4, That's a 9. Okay. X is how we eliminate. You can buddy them up. If there's one on top and one on bottom, they cancel each other out. Okay? So these guys cancel. These guys cancel. These guys cancel. Cancel, cancel, cancel. I just have 2 left on the top. So x squared. And then the same thing here. Cancel, cancel, cancel. A y left on top. Okay. So 9x squared y. All right, number 4 is combining rules. So I got to do a couple things here. So I've got everything in parentheses raised to the third. So I have to do it 3 times. So I've got 2. I would have to write it down 3 times. I've got x, so I would have to write it down 3 times. And then I've got y to the 5th. I'd have to do it 3 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So some of them get tedious. There's a lot to do with them. And then the bottom just match everybody up. So I got a 2 on the bottom. I got 3 x's on the bottom. And then I've got 8 y's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. 2 on top, 2 on bottom. Those cancel. 2 times 2 just gives me a 4. All of the x's cancel out. So there's no x's. And then 8 of the y's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 y's left. So y to the 7. So the division rule, if I wanted to use the rules. So 2 to the third, I would do every piece to the third. 2 to the third is an 8. X to the third is an x to the third. Y to the 5th to the third. 5 times 3 is 15. The division rule says you divide the numbers. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Letters you just subtract. 3 minus 3 is a 0. That's why there's no x. 15 minus 8 is a 7. So that's the rule. But again, those rules are hard. I can't even memorize the rules. And I teach this stuff every year. I teach it to you guys now, and I teach it to algebra at Christmas. And I don't have them. I have to sit down and go through it to remember the rules. Okay. Next one. So negatives. This one has subtraction. So I want to look at everything in front of that subtraction sign first. So each piece in here, if it's squared, is happening twice. So I would have negative 5 times negative 5. I would have x to the 6th twice. So that's x to the 12th. 6 times 2. And then I would have y squared. 2 times 2 is 4. So really, this is the only thing that's kind of tricky. A negative times a negative makes a positive. And so then we have x to the 12th, y to the 4th. If you're going to add or subtract these, the letters and the numbers have to match up. Okay? If they don't match up, you can't add or subtract them. So if the end pieces don't match up, both letters, both exponents, you can't do this. If they do, all it is combining like terms. The letters and the exponents stay the same, and then you just do the numbers. 25 minus 12 is what? 13? Yeah. 13x to the 12th, y to the 4th. Those are probably the simplest, but they're the hardest ones. They always kind of twist and mess with you. All right, another division one. Do you want me to write this one out, or do you want me to do it using the rule? Write it out. Okay. So I got 6, and then I got 10 x's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I got 4 y's. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, on the bottom I've got a 3. And then I've got 8 x's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then 7 y's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
You have 8 x's, right?
Wait.
At the bottom?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes. And y'all check me. If it looks like I screwed up, y'all call me on it. It doesn't hurt my feelings. Again, by this point in the day, I have taught 3 different subjects already. I am number dumb. All right, 6 divided by 3 is a 2. And then cancel out. Again, it's buddy system. As long as there's one on the top and the bottom, they cancel out. And then I've got x squared. Here's where things change a little bit. Here I've got the x's on top. Here I've got them on the bottom. So this would technically be 1 over y cubed. Okay? So I should have written it that way, and I apologize. The y cubed goes on the bottom. Okay? So if what's left over is on the bottom, it stays on the bottom of the fraction.
So we still have to solve the...
No, that's done. That's as simple as it gets.
Oh, okay. I thought, for some reason, I thought we said solve like the bottom of it.
Yeah, wherever it's located, whatever's left over, wherever it's located is where it stays.
Okay.
Okay? Okay, so the other way, because we're getting into one that looks like this, the other way they write it, and it's not considered simplest form. If you have something like this, I can write it like this. I can write it with a -3 exponent. And all that is just 3 y's on the bottom. But if we want it simplified, we don't write negative exponents, okay? So that's why this is in simplest form. But if you look at the next one, see how we've got negative exponents? That way you know where they're going to go. So I've got 6. Plain old numbers go on top of fractions, okay? And then here's my x's. If it's a -1, that means there's an x on the bottom. Okay? And then this is y to the 5th. So here's my y section. I would have 5 y's on top. So sometimes you just kind of got to draw yourself that template. Here's where my numbers go. Here's where this letter goes. Here's where this letter goes. All right.
You couldn't do this one like you just, kind of like how you've been doing it?
I am. Watch.
Oh.
Yeah. So now I've got a 4. That's again on top. X to the -4. That's 4 more x's on the bottom. 2, 3, 4. And then y to the -2 is 2 y's on the bottom.
So whatever power we're going to, is that how many x's or y's?
And if it's negative, it just goes on the bottom of a fraction. If it's positive, top part of a fraction. If they're all positive, you don't have to worry with this. If you don't have fractions already, you don't have to worry with it. It's when you start getting into, you start off with a fraction, you're going to have tops and bottoms, or you have negative exponents that you got to watch what goes on the top and the bottom.
So it always has to be simplified?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so here we go. I've got 24 here. Nothing here to cancel, right? So all 5 of those x's go on the bottom. Sorry, y'all can't see what I'm doing, because there's none to cross out. And then here, I can cross out 2, and I've got 3 y's on top. Okay. Those are really tricky too, those negatives, because again, they're just really easy to overlook. Please don't come in between classes, okay? Or like during classes like this. Okay. They're going to start getting long and complicated. So remember, if we have something in parentheses and then it's cubed, I do it 3 times. Okay? So 3 cubed would be 3 3s. X to the negative 6, I may not have enough room here, would be 6 x's on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But I have to do it 3 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then y squared, that's top of the fraction, but I have to do it 3 times. So that's y squared. So that's 2 times.
So if it's outside of parentheses, that's how many times we're gonna
That's how many times you would repeat it over and over again. All right, now I've got a 2 on top, so I can just stay up here. And then x to the 10th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then y to the negative 7th. So 7 y's on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So cancel time. So 3 times 3 times 3 times 2. I'm not even going to try to do that one in my head. 3 times 3 times 3 times 2. 54. Okay. Now I can cancel. Cancel, 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 cancel. It starts getting hard. You kind of have to stretch. So I'm going to start at this end so I don't make a mess. It doesn't matter where they come from. So what's left over are these right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 x's on the bottom. 8 x's on the bottom.
Would there be a negative?
If I'll show you when it would be a negative. But yes, they would, but not in this form.
Okay.
So cancel my y's. Y'all have some like really good questions. So I've got 1 y on the bottom. If I want to write them as a negative exponent, baby,
We haven't done math since like freshman year.
I could write them like this. Okay? But remember, negative exponents is not in simplest form. That's why I write them as that fraction.
Wait, hang on. I kind of zoned out on that last part. The one about the negative.
Okay, I could write it with a negative like this,
Yeah.
right? But that's not simplest form.
So on the left is the right answer.
This is the simplest form.
Okay.
So if ever you write a final answer and you see that you've written a negative exponent,
Yes.
move it to the bottom. Okay?
Yeah, I like how you stretch it out like that. I think that makes it easier than having to do it.
I have been, without the rules,
Yeah.
I've been doing this for so long, I kind of know where things are going to trip you up. And if there's a better way to do it or an easier method, again, the rules are great, but if I don't even have the rules memorized,
Well, the rules are so tedious. This is like just,
it's visual.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm a visual learner. If I can see something, I do better with it. If I can physically eliminate things and mark them out together, I just do better with it. Okay, here we go. New piece of paper. I go through a lot of paper in this class. And if y'all ever need scratch paper, y'all let me know. This whole stack sitting here is scratch paper, and y'all are more than welcome to it, okay? All right. I'm actually going to fold this just so I can fit everything up on my doc cam. Ooh, I'm doing good on time, y'all. I'm proud of myself. I've been teaching till like the bell for most of my classes today. Okay. Now we got a lot. So this is where it can get still even really tedious with drawing it out when there's so many pieces. So I'm squaring everything. So negative 2 is getting multiplied by itself. They both are negative. That's really important. And then I've got x squared, so I've got 2x's on top. So I'm going to go ahead and just start putting these fractions in here, so I try to save room. And then y squared, so I got 2y's on top here. And then I go over to this next piece. Now I got a 10, so that goes with the numbers. Then I've got x cubed, so 1, 2, 3. And then I got y to the 11th, so I got 11 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's got to go down here. 11. All right, and then I've got the bottom. So I got an 8, so that goes with the numbers on the bottom. I got 10 x's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I got 4 y's on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Negative 2. I'm going to do all of this in one piece in the calculator, okay? Again, you have a calculator. There's no sense in you trying to figure that out, work by hand. I'm going to type it in just like that. Parentheses and everything. And all those parentheses mean it's the same as me putting the dots in between there, just indicating multiplication. And so all of that simplifies down to a 5. Okay, x's. So all these get eliminated. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 x's on the bottom. X to the 5th. And then goes on the bottom.
Different ones on the top, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 y's on the top. Y to the 9th.
So when do we put it, like you said, with a 1 over it?
If all you have left, if you have if all your numbers cancel out and all your x's cancel out and you have x to the 5th down here, you don't want a blank top. So that's when you put the 1 on top of it.
Oh no, I'm talking about, you said it earlier when we were doing canceling out the
Okay,
y's.
so if it's written like this,
Yes.
that's when you write it. This is the same.
Oh, okay.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay. So 9 is 5y to the 9th over x to the 5th. The other side is going to be so easy, and you'll see why here in just a second. I know you're thinking, nope, but it is. Okay, I've got a subtraction sign in here. So I want to focus on everything in front of that subtraction sign. Okay? So I've got an 8 on top. I've got x cubed on top, so 3 x's. I've got a 12 on top. I've got an x on top, and then I've got 7 y's. 4, 5, 6, 7. Now I'm going to look at the bottom. I got a 3 on the bottom. X squared, so 2 x's. Again, I'm not looking at this piece yet. And then 4 y's. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 8 times 12 over 3. 8 times 12 over 3 is 32. Okay. This cancels, this cancels. I've got 2 x's on top. So x squared. Cancels, 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 cancels. 3 y's on top. So I don't have anything on the bottom. So I don't even need to put a bottom. Okay? Because I can put anything over 1. Whole number 16, I can write that as a fraction. 16 over 1. Those are the same thing. Simplest form, though, is writing it as 16. We don't write all our whole numbers like this. Okay. So now the subtraction. Remember what I said about the addition or subtraction? The letters and numbers have to match. So minus 15 x squared y cubed. Again, I can't do this unless everything matches up. If everything matches up, the letters and the exponents just drop down. And I just do 32 minus 15. And I get 17. Again, it's those subtraction ones like that. They're real simple to do, but it's really easy to forget what you're supposed to do. Okay, so 17 x squared y cubed. All right, so your side is that right-hand side, but here's why it makes it easy. This is your answer bank. So if you get an answer over here that doesn't match one of these, you know you've messed up somewhere. Okay? So that way you've got a built-in answer bank. If you get stuck, ask for help. Let me help you. Do not sit there and suffer. If you get done and you want me to check it, I'm more than happy to do that. That way, if something is off and you want to fix it, you've got that chance to fix it. Okay? What was your question, babe?
I kind of got lost. Can you show me 6 or 7 and 8?
Mm-hmm.
Forgot